Battles of Legend Crystal Revenge releases on November 18th. Like Brothers of Legend before it, this set imports the remaining cards from this year's Animation Chronicle in Japan, as well as reprinting some important staples. Here's everything you need to know. The advanced Crystal Beasts are, oh my god, just a mess. So the first thing you need to know, if you do not control Advanced Dark, they all kill themselves, not destroy themselves, triggering the Crystal Beast gimmick effect. That would make too much sense. They just instantly go to the graveyard without starting a chain, instantly the moment they exist on a field that does not have Advanced Dark on it. For an example of how this works, if you normal summon Advanced Sapphire Pegasus without AD on field, it dies immediately before it even has the chance to use its effect, which, spoilers for the video you're currently watching, was pretty much just Sapphire Pegasus. So if you want these supposedly better Crystal Beasts, you'll need Advanced Dark, which, okay, is searchable with Advanced Cobalt Eagle, and with Salvation, which themselves are searchable by Crystal Bond and Awakening. So it's not like you're just coping to draw this card. So let's take a moment to read what Advanced Dark does. Nothing? Okay, got it. That's fine, that's not important right now. Let's get to what the ACBs actually do.
So nothing so far. Alright, I'm seeing nothing. Still nothing. Alright.
Let me try to summarize all these cards. Imagine if they added like 2 words to every Crystal Beast effect and called it a day. These are such ridiculously minor upgrades, it's almost insulting. The ones worth talking about are Sapphire Pegasus, which does the same thing but can place from Banished, Cobalt Eagle, which they gave Commandant effect, and Ruby Carbuncle, which summons itself and as many ACBs as possible out of the back row. But you may have noticed the problem there. On top of being barely considered upgrades over their original forms, and actively being worse because of their constant requirement of a field spell that does nothing, they also have the audacity to only support themselves instead of Crystal Beast as a whole. Pegasus can only place advanced CBs. Carbuncle can only summon advanced CBs. Fucking Cobalt Eagle can only bounce advanced CBs. I hope you guys don't think that I enjoy getting mad about Crystal Beasts. I've just been met with nothing but frustration towards Konami and all of my time with them. Looking on the bright side, there's 3 more playable CBs, meaning we are almost to 7 Crystal Beasts with different names worth playing, but the issues of cohesion still persist. The best cards in the deck are still the back row, and your monsters still lack any means by which to interact with them. So all you can do is hope you draw your spell and traps, and try to draw as few Crystal Beasts as possible in your Crystal Beast deck. Great! Doodle Beast Stego can summon itself if you have no monsters or only dinos on field, and searches a Doodlebook spell or trap on summon, then discards a card. Doodlebook negates an attack or something, but also it can banish itself from the graveyard to search a level 5 or higher dinosaur. Doodle Beast Tyranno can be tribute summoned as a quick effect during your opponent's turn, using only 1 tribute if it's a dino, and when it's tribute summoned, pops a card on field. It's a fine engine with decent synergies to existing dino builds, but only insofar as dinos can help them do their own thing pretty well. Trying to weave them into existing dino combos can get a bit clunky, as you'll have to replace certain important summons with a Stego that's largely a dead end in terms of extension. If you're out of your mind, you can slot the engine into just about anything, since you can summon Stego for free if you draw it and get an extra pop on top of whatever else your deck normally does. Problem is that this card's summon window directly competes with Kashtira Fenrir, so there's no reason to play an engine with more bricks and a lower ceiling. Oh, never mind, that's the reason. Clockwork Knight is a continuous spell that turns all monsters on the field into machines, and can banish itself from graveyard and discard 1 to search any Earth machine. Dimension Dice can tribute a monster you control to summon a monster that rolls a die from deck, and Dice Dungeon searches Dimension Dice on activation. Clockwork is of course a powerful searcher for Earth machine decks, even being able to grab Therion King Regulus from deck. But the reason I'm talking about all these cards together is because each one represents an additional copy of Morphtronic Telephon. That's right, I'm not ignorant to the fact that this card and the set it was released in were what put my channel on the map, so to speak, and even though I've had bigger fish to fry recently, I've kept Telephon in the back of my mind, and these cards push the engine's consistency to a new peak. Dimension Dice requires a dice card on field to be activated, but controlling a copy of Telephon fulfills this requirement, and tributing over that Telephon to summon another copy instantly turns your loop online. Similarly, Clockwork Knight's discard cost can be used to pitch a Telephon to search another Telephon. While Telephon has largely been bullied out of the metagame by everything else going on, a hyper-consistent FTK deck developing in the background of a format they'll have to ban out eventually means there could be some scary things on the horizon for this format. Thunderball! Hold on one sec. Thunderball Reel! G-Golem Pebbledog can search or summon another Pebbledog on summon, and if it's sent from the hand to the graveyard, can search any G-Golem card. Rockhammer can discard a Cyberse monster to make himself playable, and contribute himself to summon 3 G-Golem tokens, which is no problem for me because I already bought 5, and if you hand me one at an event, I will gladly sign it for you. I will not sign any other card. Crystal Heart can summon an Earthlink monster from graveyard. When Stubborn Menhir is summoned from graveyard, it can summon or add back an Earth monster. Invalid Dolmen grants your co-linked monsters immunity to monster effects and can discard 1 to draw 1. And Dignified Trilithon is a big, beefy boy. Gravity Balance can summon 2 of your G Golems in the graveyard or banish, and can banish itself to protect G Golems. There's some very interesting pieces here to add to generic Cyberse piles, like Invalid Dolmen, which can add even more draw power to Heat Soul control and can protect your Heat Soul by using a card like Pit Knight early to connect them. Number 2, Ninja Shadow Mosquito is a rank 2 that can't be destroyed by battle and takes no damage, and any time an attack is declared, can either place a hallucination counter on a monster your opponent controls which negates its effects, or burn your opponent equal to the attack of a monster with a hallucination counter. With this effect, anytime your opponent controls a monster with 2700 or more attack, and you can attack at least 4 times, you can do 8100 damage to your opponent. This saw success as a solid kill option in Who Else But Sprite. Ramming all your little dorks into your opponent's big fusion monsters to kill them out of nowhere with their own stats can be a pretty easy way to steal games against the highly favored Tearlaments. EN Shuffle returns an Elemental Hero or Neospatian to deck, then summons a different one from deck. It can also banish itself and shuffle back an E-Hero and a Neospatian from graveyard to draw a card. Very cool consistency piece for heroes, letting them trade out a Stratos for a Shadow Mist or vice versa depending on how your hand looks. Summoning Shadow Mist gets you to Mask Change, a card with which Konami is drip feeding us more searchability. It's too bad Elemental has become one of the least common types of hero in modern hero builds, but there's still a lot of potential for this sort of card to add to the deck. Weird batch of reprints this time around because there's some generic staples, but mostly in the form of generically playable extra deck cards like Savage Dragon and UDF, cards that can be used in a lot of decks, but not really all of them like Droplet or Lightning Storm would be. Best reprint is of course Access Code, which has held above 40 functionally since release. They reprinted pretty much all of Toon Chaos, so if you still need to pick up your Chaos Space or your Toon BLS, now's the time, Farfa. The Evil Twins are also back. Now you can play the 5th best Sprite deck for cheap. I've been told this set is great for Edison players, reprinting Vayu and some of the other important Blackwings, as well as some of the Plague Spreader synchros. Quackimero Supplier is finally getting a reprint to take the pressure off the single print from 2 years ago, and just in case you thought this set was good, they decided to dump in all the OG Crystal Beasts just to make every pack a little bit worse. Anyway, where the fuck is Ass Dragon? The remaining cards from History Archive are missing in action, and now that all the weird TCG exclusive sets of the year have come and passed, we no longer have any guess as to where they might be. Surely they'll put some 5D's nostalgia support into Amazing Defenders, a set with 0 synchro decks. Maybe they'll just throw Overlay Network into Fi as a bit. And because I know you're gonna ask, yes, there are Amazonas cards in this set, but unfortunately that's all the time we have. I'll see you guys next time when we have to talk about more tier support!